Hello, this is Kelly of Kelly's Color Studio. I'm doing a little impromptu, unannounced video about something that I shared this past week that I found out is not necessarily the greatest thing. I mean, it works, but I learned something the other day, okay? So there's this thing called a learning curve. And I wanted to put this little disclaimer out there and explain what happened, what I learned, so that if you're following along in this process and doing the same technique, you won't run into the same problem I did. I started this lovely over a week ago. It was just kind of a doodle. I didn't have any intention of finishing it. I just was doodling and drawing, and pretty soon I got to where I was like, oh, you know what? I really kind of like this. I think I'll finish it. And I've been doing the faux encaustic technique, which, as I've told you all, if you've watched the other videos, is a combination of, this is watercolor paper, okay, and some of this Liquitex matte super heavy gel, and my top secret formula, which I later admitted is glue and H2O, glue and water, okay, and I explained how to put this together. And the thing that I love about this, and the thing I was like, oh, I discovered this is great. When I use my Posca pens, and look, I love my Posca pens. I love to do doodles. I love to do detail. And I had this whole thing finished, and I had painted it and whatever, and then gone back with this fine line black. And this is, Poscas are acrylic paint pens. And I had done all of these outlines, and what I had learned was that if you finish with your Posca and you take a little bit of this and do a coat, then when you put this on, or when you try to put some kind of varnish on, it won't smear the Posca, because these things smear the Posca ink. So you've got all these little lines, and then imagine you put a brush on there and it goes, you know, it's like, oh no. So I did a couple of things. First of all, I did all the Posca work and forgot that it was time for this first. I went ahead and tried to do this, and of course it smeared. Then as I went to repaint, I realized I had done this several times. So when I went back in to paint, the water from my paint reactivated the glue and water that was on top. And so, and I don't know if you can you see that texture right there? See that texture on that bird? It created that kind of a surface. It was kind of rough, and it created like a crack or a line through here. Can you see that? I bet you can see it, like right there. It goes all the way across the page. And what happens is, if you're using glue and water and you use a hairdryer or something to heat it, sometimes it will crackle, like an antique crackle, which is great if you want crackle. But if you don't, you know, I had a big crack here. I had one here and one here, and I didn't use heat to dry it. It just kind of happened with the glue and water. So what I learned is, yes, you can do a painting, put on a bunch of coats of this if you want, build it up, do your artwork, do your Posca, but don't put this on until you're done with everything. Put one coat over your Posca, make it a thin coat, don't be generous with it, and then let it dry, say overnight or till the next day. Then you can come in and do this or your varnish, okay? I just want to make that really clear. If you do layers and layers and you do glue and water over Posca, and then you do some more Posca and do more glue and water like I did, and I don't know why I did that. I just kept seeing things that needed doing again and again and again, and I just kept going back. So I'm wanting to spare you all this headache. I did get it finished. I've still got several layers of this on it. I was able to work it out. And it took until the wee hours of lots of mornings, but I got it done. I'm pleased with it. It's got a coat of the heavy gel medium, and it's got 2 coats of varnish on it. And I'm completely satisfied that it's going to last and everything, but I don't like that. I don't care for that texture too much, and you can see I had problem areas. And so when I sell this, it'll more than likely be at a discount, because it was a learning process, you know. But anyway, I felt an obligation because I said, oh, this stuff is great. You can use this over Poscas and then you can seal it. Well, if you use too much and you go to seal or paint, it's going to get gummy. Especially if you're one of these people, like I've done this so many times, like you come in to do your varnish or whatever you're doing, and you kind of do this, paint, 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 paint. All you're doing is pulling up that glue and water, and then you've got strings. It comes apart, it comes off your surface with strings and stuff. So I don't want to turn you off completely to the glue and water. I just want you to know, only use a thin coat if you're covering Posca with it. Now, if you're collaging with tissue paper, which is what I recommend for that, I haven't had any problems with this. I've collaged with this. I've used a lot or a little. And then when I put stuff over it, it doesn't matter. But this is only about using glue and water over your Posca pen details. Okay? Just be forewarned, just so you know. And when you varnish the thing, it's good to put it at an angle or have a light so you can see where you've painted. Use the biggest brush you have and go in a pattern like this. And then don't go back and do it again. If it's done, it's done. And then move down and do the next section. Do everything in a section and get done. And then step away from it. If you've missed a little spot and you noticed it right away, you can go like that. But try not to go back in, and because then you're going to have a goobly mess. Okay? So, anyway, all that being said, I've got some art to do. So I'm going to scoot. I have a demo Friday morning at 10. So I look forward to seeing you all then. Thanks so much. Bye.